Yesterday, we dived into choosing a strong market. I want to see if you guys actually took initiative and started looking at different markets. Has anyone tried doing that yet?
I tried.
How was it?
It was good. Given, just looking at the home sold, I did see some indiscrepancies with land sold, the home sold. For instance, Port Charlotte is one of the markets I was looking into, and it looked like they had a lot more land sold than houses sold.
Okay, in Port Charlotte?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna happen. Remember, I think I mentioned to you guys that as long as the number is over 800 or more, you should be good. Port Charlotte is a really good market, so you should be fine. As long as you find the highest paying builders, you're fine in that area.
And real quick, just in case anybody else like runs into that issue, you also got to think that builders can buy land faster than they can build houses. So even like the national builders that take 60 days to buy land, and then you compare that to, maybe a 8 to 9 month build time, that's probably why you see those discrepancies in those numbers as well.
For sure. All right, who else? Anybody else try to look at some different markets?
Yes, I did, Derby. It's Ashley.
Yeah,
I
Ashley.
learned a lot from looking it up. I was using the 700 to 800 plus rule, and I noticed that the markets that I've been in, that's been my largest issue. Right now, I was in Texas, but right now I'm in North Carolina. So I was looking up Durham and Raleigh, and neither one of those had over 500 plus sold for homes or land. So I was like, dang, that's crazy. What I decided to do is to move to Florida. So where I'm going to be doing my thing at is Palm Bay. I think it's pronounced Ocala, Ocala,
Oh, Ocala.
Ocala, and Cape Coral.
Great.
So
Those are
those are the three markets I'm looking at right now.
amazing job, Ashley. Yeah. Great, great, great. Anybody else want to share?
I found a couple markets that was the opposite of what Michael was saying. So I saw some that had more uh
Uh-oh, Chris, your thing just muted itself. Hold on, let me unmute. Is it working? Let me see.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, I saw the opposite of what Michael was saying. It was a market where it was more lots sold than new construction. Or
Oh,
no, vice versa. I'm sorry, more new construction than lots.
what market again?
This was Marion County, Manatee County, Pasco County. Pasco for sure. It was like 3,000 new constructions and only like 500 lots sold.
Yeah, and that's because Pasco County has more larger tracts. So they're gonna buy less land because they're buying bigger pieces and building more new construction. They're like subdivision community out here.
Hmm.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, either way, I think that's gonna be they sound like great markets. So Marion County, I'm sorry, not Marion County, but uh,
Manatee.
Genesee County, Pasco County, and then you said one more.
Um,
Yeah, okay. So yeah, those areas are really good to be in for sure. Lots of hedge funds tend to be out there because they build bigger projects. So
okay.
Yeah, I wanna also add. Can you hear me?
yeah, hey Carlos.
I wanna add also that in Marion County, you have the World Equestrian Center. That is a humongous project that they're doing. It has a long history because they were going to build an airport, but the locals kind of like fought against it to avoid like affordability issues and high taxes. And also, you have in Sumter County, you have the villages, and which makes one of the fastest growing counties. I'm not sure if it's in the state or in the nation, um, but there's a ton of new construction happening in those two counties.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good point. But do you guys see how everyone is kind of chiming in and bringing in really good points about all the different things that are coming to the area? Like, those are things you all need to make sure you're doing research on. Like, what is driving the market to go up? You don't want to just look at the new construction and stuff like that. You want to look at the stats. You want to see, like, what attractions are coming out there, what tourist attractions, what's bringing people to this area. So that's going to be something that I encourage all of you guys to do in the meantime. I honestly will tell you guys, anything in Florida is thriving besides Miami, in my opinion. Miami is obviously like the South Florida area. There's not that much land left. There is opportunity there still. I have students that are still just doing deals there, tear downs, things like that. But I personally think that there's just better markets outside of Miami. So anything in Florida would be great. Anybody else want to share before we get into our lesson today? Maybe one more.
Yes. I did some research and I zeroed in on Sarasota County and Polk County.
Good. They're awesome areas. Great, great, great. Especially Polk. Polk is like booming right now for this entire year. So awesome. Love that. Okay. Thank you, Pierre. All right. Let's do a quick recap of yesterday's call. We did choosing a strong market. We talked about the land terminology. Hopefully you guys are studying that. We went and talked about the different types of land, which is larger tracts versus scattered infield lots. Touched a little bit on mindset and some fun facts, and then the benefits of land. So let's dive into today's lesson, which is how we can find home builders. Okay. In the chat, if you don't mind engaging and just letting me know what home builders you guys are familiar with. What home builders are you guys familiar with? Give me some names. D.R. Horton, Dreamfinders, NVR, Ryan Homes, Pulte, Lennar. Michael's dropping them in there. Lennar. What else? KB, Taylor Morrison, Century, Adams. Yeah, perfect. Miranda, yes. Sample Properties. So you guys are familiar with a lot of different builders, which is really good. If you are not familiar with builders, just start getting familiar with their names and hearing their names quite often, because that is something that, like I said, if you can build the relationships you have with all of these different builders, it's going to help so much in your business as far as being able to close deals consistently. If you ever see a work site or a new construction home being built in an area that you live in, look to see who the builder is. Check to see who owns that property and what they're building, right? It'll be really good for you to start getting familiar with them. So let's dive into it a little bit more. If you didn't know, there's 10 top builders in the US. If you didn't know, D.R. Horton is the #1 builder in the US. They've been #1 for multiple decades, with over 90,000 closings. Yeah, they're making a lot of money right now. Lennar is right under them at 73,000 closings. Pulte Homes, NVR, if you didn't know, that's like Ryan Homes. Meritage Homes, KB Homes, Taylor Morrison, Clayton Property Groups, and Toll Brothers. And then lastly is Century Communities. So you will see a lot of these builders. I've worked with some of them, a lot of them on this list actually. And then some I just never got around to working with them because they typically build like larger tracts. So for example, Pulte Homes, I don't work with Pulte. They build on multiple acres. Same with Taylor Morrison and Toll Brothers. But when they do buy, they're very aggressive. So yeah. Does anyone currently live in a new construction home currently? Or maybe ever lived in one?
I do.
Yeah, so Ashley, kind of like the process when you buy from a builder versus if you maybe bought or rented from somebody else. Like it's a whole experience. They try to give you incentives. They have so many different models. You're not really working with an agent there. They have their own when they're showing you the different models you can choose from. So kind of think of it from that perspective when we work with builders, like trying to learn what products they're building. Okay. Sandy said I built one since sold it. Yeah, so all right. This is a very transparent part of the business. I like to tell people because if you didn't know, finding builders who's going to give you buying criteria is going to be the most difficult task. How many introverts do we have on this call again? Put a 1 in the chat. If you are an introvert, you don't really like talking to people, very timid, like little shy and standoffish, put a 1 in the chat. That's you. Put a 2 if you can talk to a brick wall, just like me. I literally could talk to myself all day. You can talk to anybody. You can sit by yourself at a restaurant and just like have a conversation with somebody. Michael, me and you are the same person. Okay, so for my people who put 2s in the chat, this does not apply to you. You're going to be completely fine in this business. If you know how to have conversation, you know how to be like personable. I find it that a lot of people who have had customer service experience do really well in this area. So like, even if you've worked as a server, you know how to like talk to just random people and create an experience. That's what I want you to think of like finding builders as, like trying to find, they're essentially clients, right? Trying to find clients who are going to be willing to work with you and give you, hey, I need this. Can you help service me and get me that, right? My people who put 1 in the chat, you're probably going to struggle a little bit because a lot of builders have the 2s in the chat reaching out to them. And if you're really shy and timid and scared, they can kind of feel that energy, especially like through email, through the phone, like interacting with you. It kind of makes them nervous and entrusting you to like supply them what they're needing. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. Have you ever talked to somebody in customer service and there's a whole difference between one agent versus another customer service agent? Like one actually can get you what you need and can help you and service you and is very nice about it. And then one is like dry and just, it's just not pleasant. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I want you to think of it as. My number 1s in the chat, please start working on that. It does take time, but little by little you'll get there.
I was also going to say that, when it comes to, confidence and, sounding confident over the phone, there were 2 quotes that kind of stuck with me that helped me with, talking to builders and stuff like that, or just communicating in real estate in general is 1, whatever comes out your mouth goes into your bank account. Think about it like that as well, too. Clock it. Put the emojis in the chat. And then the second one was, confidence is proof that you have a track record of keeping your word to yourself. Because the gentleman that told me this, he was like, you heard every lie you ever told yourself, right? So when it comes to, communicating, especially in this space specifically, when it comes to talking to builders, yes, you want to seem confident, but you also want to make sure that you're committed, because there's 2 types of people, interested versus committed. We may not have time to dive deep into like the psychological part of interested people versus committed people, but you definitely want to make sure that your confidence comes from proof that you like take action and execute, and you learn and get a constant feedback loop of, you're not looking to take perfect action. You're looking to take action so you can get feedback and know what to improve on moving forward. You get what I'm saying? So your first call with the builder, when you first cold call, you may not sound the best. You may say some wrong words. You may use some vocabulary incorrectly, things of that nature. But you need to take that feedback loop and try to apply it into your next interaction and just build on top of that. So hopefully that will help, the people that were introverted, because I myself was introverted at one point in time. I asked Derby earlier, I was like, if you could go back 7 years ago, would you see your future self now? And she was like, no. And that would apply to myself as well too. 7 years ago, if you told Francisco that he'll be speaking in front of people on Zoom or in person, I'd be like, you crazy. That's not happening. But over time, you just get accustomed to like, okay, communicating better, reading stuff about communication. So with this particular task of talking to builders, professional etiquette would definitely be, at the forefront. And then the more you do it, the more you'll get acclimated to, how to talk, when to say certain things and stuff like that. So this coming from an ex-introvert, or still am introvert, but you gotta know how to maneuver.
And you guys will see a little glimpse of that when Francisco does some cold calling in the VIP call. because he's so annoying. I'm like, bruh, just get to the point. What are we doing? All right, so let's prepare our mindset real quick because I will tell you, it is discouraging. I think whenever you're good at something all the time and then you put your mind to something and then you're not good at it, it kind of gets very discouraging. You almost want to give up because you're not able to accomplish something that everyone around you is accomplishing. So I do want to prepare your mindset to strengthen it because yes, entrepreneurship definitely has its ups and downs. And if I gave up on the first few pieces of rejection that I had when I first got into entrepreneurship, I would not be where I am today. Okay. You'll hear that a lot from everybody that's really doing, business in general. Don't give up because it's hard in the beginning. So yeah, understand that finding builders is going to be a very difficult task when you're an introvert. Now, what is a qualified builder? Write this definition down that I made up. Okay. Qualified builder is defined as a home builder or an end buyer who is open to working with you and providing you with their buying criteria. You need to know where they're buying and how much they're paying. That's all you need to know. Where are they buying? How much they're paying? Because if they were to say, hey, Ashley, I'm buying land right now in I don't know, Duval County. I'm buying land, paying $75,000, covering all the closing costs and closing in 20 days, right? Ashley now has what she needs to go out and hunt for deals, right? And pull a list and reach out to people and make offers because she has those two pieces of information. Now, what I will tell you is if builders don't want to give you that, how many of you guys reached out to builders before? Put a 1 in the chat. Maybe try reaching out to a builder and you've heard them say, just send me what you have. We got deep pockets, right? We get that all the time and it's the most irritating thing ever. What can you do to pivot? So if they say, just send me what you have. Okay, great. Just to narrow it down for you, I know you're buying in Palm Bay, right? What type of lots are you purchasing? Are you purchasing larger tracts or scattered infilled lots? So as long as you have location and the size lots that they need, you should still be good to go hunt for deals. You don't have the price yet, but as long as you know they're buying, let's just say they say, oh, I'm buying scattered infilled lots in Palm Bay. Then you can still pull a list, they're buying in Palm Bay. And if you have anybody that's interested, send it to the builder so they can give you a price, right? So that way you can get a range or even send them properties that are on Zillow listed for sale by owner instead, right? We call those dummy properties just to gauge and get a test of what the builder would want. Does that make sense, guys? So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense for you and you can try and play it that way. So if you can't get price and location, get location and size. Go from there. Another thing I like to do is see what they've recently purchased in the last 6 months. You guys can check the property appraiser site to see what DR Horton bought land for, what Miranda bought land for, and you can kind of gauge it that way too, seeing their purchase history. All right. And then finding builders should be a part of your consistent routine in your business all the time. Like you should always be looking for builders. And I say that because if you constantly work with the same builders on a consistent basis, you will find that you are just being a high paid employee, right? You're being a high paid employee for 1 or 2 builders. Not only that, but you could leave money on the table if you don't realize there's a new builder that just moved into the area and you haven't tried networking with them. Do you know how many times I'm literally looking for comps and I find a new builder I've never seen his name before in my life? Reach out to them and they're paying way more than my builder. So don't leave money on the table because you're constantly working with the same 6 builders, 5 builders. And then last but not least, and then I'll see if Francisco wants to add anything. I really want to emphasize follow-ups with builders. So if you guys send an email to a builder to ask for their criteria and they don't respond and you follow up maybe 1 or 2 more times and then you just stop, like you just gave up, right? I have a hedge fund that I currently make literally 6 figures with every single year for the last 3 years. When I first got into wholesaling land, I've always seen them buying land. And I was always trying to figure out who the heck is buying this? How can I get in contact with them? Couldn't get contact with them at all. I reached out to a realtor who was listing their new construction. And I was like, hey, I have some land. I've been trying to get in contact with them. Can you connect us? He did. And I'm talking about it was like maybe 2 going on 3 years trying to find this person. Now I'm literally making 6+ figures with them every year. They give me new projects to work on. They're always asking for my insight. They're asking for the tea on other builders. They're giving me tea on what's going on in the market. And if I just gave up in the first couple of attempts in trying to contact them, I would have never been able to hit certain financial milestones because of that. So I really encourage you not to get discouraged if you contact them a few times and don't respond. Okay? Francisco, you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I was going to say follow-up is definitely going to be in the fortune, especially with builders, because you have to think there's a high turnover rate when it comes to land acquisition specialists with builders for whatever reason, right? So sometimes you may be trying to get in contact with someone and they were there and that position needed to be filled. Now it's a new person. So you always going to constantly have to follow up, kind of like refresh if you do get some emails. And then you might get, kind of like what Derby was saying earlier, you might get location and size, but you may not get price. And with that, you may just have to send them, even potentials. And what I like to communicate potentials as, if I can't find a dummy property, is I just like to say like, hey, I have this potential seller that I'm working with. Nothing is solidified yet, but I wanted to get your thoughts on where would you be price-wise for something like this? And then that way you continue building that relationship with them. And building these relationships with these builders takes time, right? You guys have to figure out how each other's works. You got to figure out how fast they move, what they like, what they don't like. This is literally getting into another relationship. You literally have to study the builder that you plan to work with, or all of them for that matter, because all of them have different strengths. All of them have different perks and things of that nature. Some can close in 14 days. Some can close in 30 days, right? So you always got to weigh your options when it comes to that as well too.
Mm-hmm. I'm answering a couple of questions here in the chat. Say 2 to 3 months. But yeah, no, that's a good point, Francisco. So I like to typically show the best ways to finding home builders. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like this is like the most everyone already knows to Google search home builders, right? I am kind of over that strategy. I think it's a little played out and a lot of people use it nowadays, and it doesn't really give you all the best builders possible. So there's a couple of ways that I would recommend, and I'm going to show you that using PropWire. How many of you guys have heard of PropWire? I personally love using PropWire. It's free. You guys can create a free account on here. And in PropWire, I'm able to pull a list of cash buyers that purchased land in the last it depends, last year or in the last 90 days. That's like the most recent. I would say like the last 60 days, 90 days, maybe even up to 6 months. Somebody in the chat give me a market to look at. What part of North Carolina? Okay, I'm gonna do Citrus County. Citrus County. I like that area. Am I spelling it wrong? No, Citrus. Let me do Citrus. There we go. Sometimes it won't put county in there, so you have to put Citrus, Florida. It's weird. And yeah, refreshing is a huge, huge one for this tool. All right, so this is Citrus County. Do you guys know what cities are in Citrus County? Kind of get familiar with that, right? That's Inverness. What else? There's another huge one. Inverness. Yep, Crystal River, Homosassa. There's Citrus Springs. That's probably the biggest one is Citrus Springs. A very popular market to be in. Inverness, actually, I have a few properties here in Inverness. Um, yeah, so this area is definitely booming and, you know, thriving. I will tell you that a lot of builders are starting to build out here more than ever. But let's see what builders are building. Okay, so once I put Citrus County in, I don't touch lead types. So I want to make that very clear. I don't touch lead types. And I do that because when I touch lead types, for some reason, it like messes up the filters and it doesn't give me a lot of people. So the only thing I touch is property types and then the more tab. I don't touch bed and bath and price. Okay, so just don't forget that part. Oops. Let me clear this. Oh my gosh. There we go.
Sister, do you prefer PropWire over PropStream?
Yeah, I like PropWire because it's free and I could pull more data on PropWire than PropStream. And I've also done the comparison between how much more land PropWire gives me versus Stream. PropStream doesn't give me a lot of land for some reason. I actually have a YouTube video on the difference between PropWire versus PropStream, and I break down land so people can see.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem. So I go to land, I go to more, and then this is where I kind of narrow down, right? If I'm looking for scattered infilled lot builders, then I try not to find properties or land that's bigger than 1 acre. Okay. So if it's going to be bigger than an acre, then you're talking about larger tracts, right? I'm only looking for scatter builders. So how many square feet are in an acre? Everybody should know this. How many square feet are in an acre? Great job.
43 and 60.
Great job, Carlos, Ashley, who else? Barbara, Michael. Everyone's moving quick, so I can't see. But good job. 43,560 max. So I don't want nothing bigger than an acre. Okay. I'm gonna close it. Owner filters, I'm gonna do business because I want to see the owner having a business that owns this property. Typically, a company or builder or something along those lines, a developer. Cash buyer, yes. Years of ownership, right? I want to look at someone who bought land within the last year or sooner. So 0 to 1 year. Okay. Now I do that because I want to see the most recent transactions. Now this is the most important part right here. Properties owned by owner. You see that? If I'm going to be a builder who owns property, buys property cash, just bought within the last year, how many properties do you think I should own to be taken serious by you? This is a preference. Like if you see someone have at least 30 properties, all right, I know they got money. So it's a preference. Decide which number that's going to be for you. I like to put like 20 properties. You have like 20 properties or more cash, then I'm going to take you more serious. Okay. Save and close. And I have about 1,487 results. Now, I will tell you some of these are going to be duplicates. Okay, some of these are going to be duplicates. You'll see DR Horton on the list multiple times. How can we check? Hold on, let me remove all. So I'm going to select all. And then I'm going to just review the names here. I can download the list if I wish, but I like to Google them. Like sometimes I'll find like a Facebook page, I'll find their website, their phone number, and I try to build a list just for free first before I decide to pay and get their phone numbers. So let's break this down. We got Land Factory USA LLC. Okay, you can Google them, try to figure out who's the owner, who's the land acquisitions. You can even throw it in LinkedIn. Sometimes LinkedIn will have the names of the land acquisitions. Let's see if we can find this guy. Hold on. So you can find everything on Sunbiz here. It looks like they're based out of Miami. Here's Jack and Richard. It looks like they have an Instagram page. Ooh. Land Factory USA, land investment, acquisition and disposition, cash offer on your land. It looks like there's slightly a wholesaler that maybe buys low and sells high. That's what it's giving. So that's why you need to do your research.
What was their LLC name?
Land Factory USA, LLC. Yeah. So yeah, I would look at all those different sites and things like that just to see. But let's go back. KAH. Does anybody know who that is? Let's see how familiar you guys are. KAH. No one? Okay, so KAH. I've done many, many, many deals with them. This is Christopher Allen Homes. Okay, this is their holdings company. So they probably just hold land in this LLC. Okay, but it's Christopher Allen Homes. Okay. Home Summit Holdings LLC. There's a lot of holdings. And you see DR Wharton. I've never heard of Garp Homes LLC. Like some of these are never going to be on Google. Like really just have to like deep dive and figure out who these builders are. But yeah, so that's what I would suggest. Go through the list. It takes a couple of weeks, guys, to build your builders list. A couple of weeks, sometimes a little longer. So if you think that you're gonna call a couple of builders in a day or two and you're gonna get all the builders, good luck, because it's not gonna work like that. Okay, so pull a list and you should be good. Anybody want to do one more market? I'm gonna keep the same filter.
Hey, Coral.
Oh Lord, hateful. $1,600. Oh, let me refresh. This thing hates me. Okay. Okay, 1,000. A little over 1,000. Select all. Go right there. And you guys see the builders. Miranda Homes, DR Wharton, RS Professional Homes LLC. I've never heard of them before. Some other realty companies. Yeah, Coastin Homes is pretty popular. Holiday Builders is huge. So yeah, you guys have a lot of options here. You guys just have to like dig and do some research. Like you trying to figure out who's cheating on you and you trying to figure out who the other lady is. Put that mask on. Francisco hates when I say that, but women really have that type of, we got FBI skills. Use those FBI skills to make money, to put $10,000 in your account. Okay? Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Use the lurking skills for use.
That part. Make some money off of it. All right, so look at, I just found their website here. Call them. Kendra, I'm being so serious. You think I'm playing? Call them. Figure out what you need. What you need? Where are you buying? How much are you paying? Okay. All right, you guys got this. What do we say to builders when we're on the phone with them? This is exactly how it's going to sound. Let's do a quick script. Thank you for calling DR Wharton. This is Julie speaking. How may I help you? Hey, Julie, my name is Derby. I just had a quick question. Are you guys buying any vacant lots at the moment? Oh, yeah, we're always looking. Oh, okay, great. Do you guys have a land acquisition specialist who handles that? That way I can send them over what I have. Yeah, absolutely. His name is John. His email is johndoe@drwharton.com. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great day. That's it. Now let's say Julie says, no, we're not buying right now. Oh, great. Do you guys just not buy land, or are you guys not buying right now? Oh, we don't buy land. We build on our clients' lots. That's going to be a custom home builder, right? Anytime you're working with a custom home builder, they typically don't buy land. They build new homes on their clients' lots that they already have. If they say, oh, no, we're not buying at the moment, we're on pause, write that down, notate that, and follow up next month. Okay. Those are the 3 different objectives you'll hear. And I love to tell them if they have a land acquisition specialist who handles that so I can send them what I have. When I say send them what I have, it's a psychology tactic for them to feel like, oh wow, she's about to provide value. Okay. Make it quick, clean, to the point. We don't need them to transfer us. We don't need to do any of that. Just simply what's their email and their name. If they give me an email and not a name, I say, who do I address the email to? That's another little psychology tactic. Who do I address the email to? Oh, well, it's going to go to Julie. She's going to be handling the, right? So try to do that when you're reaching out to builders. It's a quick 30-second call and you're hanging up, and everything is done through email when we're trying to get buying criteria. Okay. I have a lot of people who make that mistake of trying to get on the phone and be like, well, where are y'all buying? How much are you guys paying for lots? Yeah, my name is, they don't give a damn about that. They want to know, are you going to provide value? What do you need? Let's hop off a call and do everything through an email. And honestly, you want to see a buy box. It's also buying criteria in an email so you don't make any mistakes, right? You guys want to see a buy box as an example? Let me see if I can find one. Uno momento. You know, I just updated my computer and this thing looks crazy. Buy criteria. Oh, yeah, I'm a visual learner too, Natasha. So let's say that I asked this builder for their buying criteria. Hold on. Here it goes. All right, so I asked this builder for their buying criteria. By the way, this is from Christopher Allen Homes. I don't care that you guys know that. Like, here, here's a builder for you. Okay, they might have updated this by now, so ask for the updated ones. Christopher Allen Homes don't play. They buy a lot of land. They were paying a lot at one point, but it kind of dropped a little bit. But they will go back up. Okay, I made a lot of money with them. Christopher Allen Homes. This is the markets that they need. Now this is older. This is in August, so ask for an updated buy box if you guys ever want to be in this market. But they're buying lots in Cape Coral. It's a high priority for them. Lehigh Acres in these zip codes only. LaBelle, Palm Bay, Charlotte County, Peachland. They even got a whole map. You see what they're putting here though? Like, no flood zones, no main roads. Like, they're telling me exactly what they need. Port Charlotte, Inglewood East. And then they also have detailed breakdown on the wholesaler and how they should conduct themselves in this transaction if I'm going to bring it to them. So that is something that is very common. So builders will have expectations for wholesalers. They're going to be like, well, we don't do this and we won't do that. Like, make sure you relay that to the seller. Or because we've had so much this and so much fraud, like, we won't be able to do this anymore because y'all ruined it for everybody. So there are builders that are more strict than others. Christopher Allen is kind of strict, I would say. They've gotten more strict because people keep trying to finesse. But they won't put no more than $1,000 in EMD. What does EMD mean again? Vocabulary? Thank you. Michael, earnest money deposit. They're not going to put more than $1,000. So if you try to put $5,000, $10,000, they are not giving you that. You got to put your own money up. So no more than $1,000 per lot. No foreign sellers. Why do you think they don't want no foreign sellers? I'm not saying people outside of the US are scammers. I'm not saying that, but that's a huge problem. It costs way too much money, lawsuits, things like that. They're literally losing money when they do that. So when I say do that, I mean when they buy a piece of land from a scammer who lives in another country and they build a whole ass house on that person's lot that never agreed to sell it. Now they get to keep the house, or they gotta go through a whole litigational battle. It's like insane. So that's why they don't do that. Other builders don't care though. No probate lots. Probate takes forever for some builders. Offers that we make are only valid for 5 business days. So if they say, hey, Michael, we're going to buy this lot for 50,000 and you take 10 days to give them the assignment, the contract's not valid, or their offer is not valid anymore. You took too long. Okay. All assigners as wholesalers, will be required to deposit their own earnest money for the underlying contracts. Minimum requirement is of $500 per lot. So on my contract with my seller, I have to put down $500. And I have to put my own money down. That is not common with other builders, but this one, they don't want to keep playing with wholesalers. A lot of them try to finesse, right? So that's the rule they put in place. Okay. And then last but not least, they put all the details on what should be on our contract with our seller. So they're detailed, right? So now you guys can see. Now, one thing I want to mention real quick before Francisco adds anything is pay attention to what they're asking for. So if they say no flood zone or no lots on a main road, please check that. That is how you get blocked. Builders will literally block you if you waste their time. They're literally telling you no main roads, but literally the 5 lots you sent them in a row are all on main roads, and you're not paying attention. Pay attention to the details and provide quality work. Go ahead, Francisco.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to also give examples of common mistakes that people do that do not focus on the details, right? So like, for example, Lehigh Acres is a very popular market, and you see how they're giving you the exact zip codes that they're looking for and then the max that they're willing to pay. A very common mistake is just getting overly excited that a seller wants to sell, and then you send them, you know, a property that's not in one of these zip codes, and then you're asking these prices, right? That's also a very common mistake. Just that simple oversight can also get you on the block list as well too, right? Because these builders are, as you can see, very detailed and very specific on, if they say 33971, the max we're able to pay is 19,000. Do not try to send them something for 30,000 and 33971, right? Or if you have something in a zip code that's not on here and they didn't specify, Derby, I don't know how you feel about this, but I won't assume that they will be open to anything that's not on this buy box.
Yeah, they're not.
Unless you ask,
so,
right?
Yeah, like don't bring them Port St. Lucie if Port St. Lucie's not on this list, because that's not what you're just gonna piss them off.
Correct. Exactly. And then another thing that you also want to make sure that you do, you probably want to do this with all markets, but Cape Coral is the easiest market to make sure this is a visual that you can understand, right? There's a very distinct difference between North Cape Coral and South Cape Coral, right? So the reason that's important is because you see how they're asking 38,000, between 38,000 and 40,000 max. 9 times out of 10, this is going to be in North Cape Coral, right? And then everything that's South Cape Coral tends to be at a little bit of a higher price because it's a lot more desirable, right? So you also got to know the geographical differences in the markets that you're in, because most markets are like that. You go down the street, it's one price, and then 2 blocks over, it's a totally different price range, right? And Cape Coral specifically is super easy because there's just one main road that divides North Cape Coral from South Cape Coral, right? So you also got to be able to know, and luckily the city of Cape Coral makes it very easy because it puts it in the directions for you, right? 123 Southwest Main Street, you know it's in Southwest, right? And then now you need to know, okay, great, I need to align this with what the builder is looking for, right? And then vice versa with all of these. And even scroll down, Derby, real quick. Yeah. The last thing that I would say on this one, to the maps right here. Yeah, go to Peachland, for example. So take Peachland, for example. They're literally telling you this is our target area. Do not send me anything outside of this box right here. This is a textbook scenario of you do not want to think outside this box. Everything in this box, this is what they're looking for. Do not go outside of this. Do not think outside the box when it comes to this, right? So you want to make sure that if you get an address, right, you want to maybe zoom out and see this type of stuff requires a little bit of manual work from the standpoint of like they're very specific on the boundaries that they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So you really just got to make sure when you're looking it up on the map and you're doing your underwriting, and we'll get to that point in a second, you want to just zoom out and you want to make sure, is it between these boundary lines? Because if it's outside this boundary line, probably gonna put you on the block list if you send them 3-4 deals like that.
No,
Same thing with this, right? They're very specific. So it wouldn't serve you to just say, let me go pull a whole list for Inglewood East. You need to be able to use a tool that allows you to specifically just mark this area and only pull land that's in that specific area. Do not pull a list. Right, you can use PropWire, Deal Machine, Land Portal. There's tons of them out there, but you got to you with these types of criteria or buy boxes, because this is very common. You can't just pull a whole list of, let me just pull all the land in Inglewood East and just start sending out marketing material, whether it be mailers, start cold calling, and then just start sending them everything. Whatever specific reason they have for being in that certain area, you want to be laser focused in that area as well too. I'm pretty sure Derby did this in Palm Bay. I know I did this in Palm Coast when I first got started. I never lived there, but I damn near could tell you every street verbatim, how much I looked at the map. Derby got every damn seller in her CRM from Palm Bay because she spent so much time in Palm Bay. I'm surprised she don't got a house there.
I know.
But you want to get familiar with the area that you're marketing. The same way the builders are familiar with the areas that they're looking for, you got to get just as familiar, if not even more familiar with that area in order to make sure you stand out and, continue building good rapport with them.
For sure. Okay, let's wrap up this segment here, and then I know VIP is going to be cold calling builders today on the West Coast. So let's talk about this numbers, because I don't know about you, but I'm a very big numbers person, especially after becoming an entrepreneur. I didn't realize how much numbers make a difference and an impact in the business. So I recommend you guys at least having 50 conversations a day with different builders. And when I say conversations, I mean like literally you've made 50 calls and you've gotten 50 emails. So if someone doesn't answer, you're not counting that as a builder, right? I'm talking about 50 contacts with emails. Try to do that for the next, I put 5 business days, but really it takes a couple weeks. And out of those 50 builders a day, your goal is to obtain 7 to 10 qualified builders in each market. So you are gonna get some criteria back from builders, but they're gonna be either really, really low or maybe larger tracts of land. But your goal is to at least find 7 to 10 qualified builders that send you this, right? This buy box, this buying criteria. That's the goal. If you can't hit that number, spend more time calling until you do that. And then also keep track of all the builders you spoke with in an Excel sheet or in like a CRM or just any type of organizational tool. I don't recommend just doing write down. Like, how many of you guys like to write everything down? I used to be obsessed with having a notebook constantly in my hand, but then I end up losing some of them or they got damaged. And it's like I'm putting my whole life in this piece of paper and try to do everything electronically. Like, keep everything in a database. So Google Sheets would be really easy. And then you guys can organize it that way. Okay. All right. That wraps up my segment. VIP will be calling builders live. And then I think Francisco has some sample calls too that he might give you guys. So that wraps up the main call. I will see everybody soon. I personally won't be on VIP call. I'm going out to dinner to celebrate my 7 years. But Francisco, go from here.
Derby, I got a question.
Pierre, ask the question in the next call.
All right. Thank you.
Bye guys. Good night.